still following us.
We've had it pretty easy so far, but we're about to start trekking to the backcountry, up a big hill, into a really beautiful, scenic back lake. Oh jeez! You okay?
Yeah.
Oh.
Lost my balance.
Up Mount Doom, here we go. This is just a start.
You got it.
It's pretty hard going through deep snow. We're hauling heavy sleds. Maybe I'll help you out first, eh?
That'd be sweet.
Easier if I lift your pack, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, what? Okay.
Good.
So we had to split up our load. We took one sled first, and we're at the top of the hill now. And we'll go back for the second. We also had to take off our snowshoes because we were just sliding with them. We needed to apply our weight more directly to the ground to get purchase. That was tough. We're halfway done the toughest part, and then the rest will be average. Whoa.
Let me help.
Good job. So we both got new, larger snowshoes this time. Aaron's got some nice classic wood ones. Mine are more of a modern take, although they're from the 80s. We got them for 20 bucks used. And they're doing the job, but there's no grip on the bottom side. We have smaller snowshoes, which do have spikes on the bottom, but we figured we need the big ones. For the uphill portion we would have, but otherwise these are probably our best option on this trip.
You okay?
Yep. Tricky to get up though.
I know. Good job.
Push on the back of the snowshoe, that helps.
Yeah. We're spending some time breaking trail. It's so deep, and there's quite a bit of just an incline. We wanted to flatten it out so that we didn't risk toppling one of our sleds. So we're just coming through here, breaking trail and flattening it out, and then going back for the sleds. Very thankful for our snowshoes today. Hello, Sealy Lake. Long time no see.
It was -10 when we left the car today, and now on the open lake it's very windy, so temperature is a lot nastier out here. Having a rain jacket in the winter can be really nice though. Just blocks the wind, and the snow will more or less fall off it, unlike cotton and wool and everything else, which sticks to it. We're home.
John's got some nice icicles building on his beard here.
Snotsicles, mostly. Feels good to be out of the wind.
Sure does.
So my big boots don't fit in to the snowshoe binding. So, because I didn't have gaiters, snow was pouring into my boots and melting, and my feet are soaked. So, getting clean, dry socks on into my good -70 boots. Feeling better already. So we're worried about the poles sinking in the night into the snow, which would cause a lot of issues. It could even cause the stovepipe to touch the canvas, which could ruin it or start it, catch it ablaze. So we're putting some extra pieces here from our stave down as a platform, and it should stay nicely on that. There we go. Scraping out the area for the stove a little bit here so that it doesn't melt down into the snow and become imbalanced. I'm pretty much down to earth here, so that will be nice. Shouldn't change and shift too much. Ow! I didn't see it, thanks.
Sorry.
Oh, all good. Just bumped me noggin, I did! On the bottom of the stove, we've got these removable steel inserts, which is a false bottom to help preserve the bottom of the stove from burning out over the years. These little legs slide into the slots here. They do lose a bit of marks for sturdiness, not the best. The fun thing about a new shelter is you develop ways to improve it, especially toward the beginning. One thing I'm trying here is just a slight elevation of our head area, so that if we want to sit up and read or something, we have that option. And if we don't, if we just want to kind of get level, just slide our pads down just a few inches. Just a little improvement, it'll make it that much nicer. So we forgot to mention that today is New Year's Eve. We'll be spending it here in the hot tent, and we're putting some sparkling wine on ice here, which is very abundant. We don't have to buy it at the convenience store. It's gonna be good. Except, we are not night owls. There's no chance we'll make it to midnight, so. But we gotta stoke the stove, so we're gonna set an alarm for midnight, just to stoke the stove, have a midnight kiss, go back to sleep. Sure!
Okay.
Here's exactly why I love hot tenting. These are already frozen solid from being damp in the hike. I'll hang them up. Tomorrow morning, they should be dry and good to go. We seem to have lost our aluminum center pole, so we just cut a stave, and I actually prefer it because A, you don't have to haul it in and buy it, but B, you can leave little nubs on it, and now those are strong hangers as opposed to our hanging line, which could support the boots, but this is much better. Look at that, a little vole running around like a madman. I'm not gonna hurt you, buddy. Huh, cool. I never see them running around, see their tracks everywhere.
I'm happy to announce that after undergoing intense health and safety courses, I have regained my position at the mill. It's been about a week since the accident. My finger's doing really well. I got 3 stitches. They came out and it's healing up well. Oh, John.
Health and safety manager did bad.
Well, I gotta go because I have a new incident to report.
Yeah, they're getting thicker now.
There it is. Beauty!
Beautiful.
For the stove!
So because we're not going to make it till midnight, we're going to pop the champagne now while we have some light.
Oh. Well,
That was anticlimactic. Here, you first.
okay.
Oh, maybe it was just too cold.
Maybe
It's
all
a little
the
frozen.
carbonation is
Oh wow,
like snowflakes.
that's cool. Well,
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's rapidly freezing now. I think maybe it's the release of pressure is changing its freeze point, and the whole thing is quickly freezing.
It was completely liquid when we opened it. Just before our eyes, we can see it
Yeah,
rising up. It's pretty cool.
I guess we better get a fire going.
I
Thaw
bet we
out
better
the
get-
slushy, champagne slushy. We're running out of daylight here, but it's going down to -18 tonight, so running out of firewood in the middle of the night would be pretty unpleasant. So we're gonna keep working into darkness, and then once dark settles, then we can kind of relax. But tons of work out here, never stops. My hands are cold, holy crap.
Yeah,
I didn't even barely press the button on my headlamp. Such a comfort.
yeah,
Hands are starting to get cold, temperature's dropping, and
yeah.
just feels good. And we can re-liquefy our champagne.
Yeah, we can.
So we got sweet chili heat party size, and the slushy champagne is just returned to liquid form. So for homebodies like us, this is pretty much the best New Year's Eve ever. Cheers. It's really hitting the spot.
Just want to thank Kessia for the Doritos.
Yeah, thanks, Cass.
To make our special turkey sandwiches even more special, we're just giving them a quick toast.
Watching the game, this is too good. Zero, zero. We've also got some single malt, 15-year Glenmorangie single malt scotch tonight, courtesy of our friend Byrne from Texas. Thank you, my friend, so much. Also sent us some Baileys. Much appreciated. Enhancing our New Year's Eve, and we hope you're having a great one. Cheers. Oh, that's splendid.
Cheers. Happy New Year.
What does it say on that flask?
Put some hair on your chest.
Uh-oh.
I was emptying my pockets before bed, and I found a pocket Oreo. Unfortunately, from last trip.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. What a waste.
Oh, there it is. Happy New Year. Happy 2020. Oh. Minus 21 this morning, and it was a lot harder to keep up with the stove, just talking to the camera. We woke up every hour and 15 minutes to stoke it,
but that was hardly enough. Now warming up some water for chaga tea and some bread. As always, these billy bellows have been invaluable to keeping the fire going and stoking it back up. Aaron's dad made these about 20 years ago.
Yeah, about that.
And he's got some left still. We've sold a few if anyone would like to buy them. There's still some available. They're 15 bucks each plus shipping, which is usually $4 or $5 as long as you live in not too far from Ontario. And we were just with Aaron's family for Christmas, and Bill also gave us some work gloves so we don't cut our fingers. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
And thanks to Barb, Aaron's mom, as well, for many gifts, including this chaga tea, which was harvested about a month ago, very close to here in Rossport, Ontario. We've been trying to find chaga, no success yet. So we're happy to have this and be able to try it here in the morning. And since we're on the topic, thanks to Wade for sending us a box of Cliff Bars. I guess he was concerned by the poor snacks we sometimes choose, so Dorito supplements. I'm going to use about a tablespoon per mug. If you're not familiar with chaga, it's a mushroom that grows on birch trees, at least here in Ontario. And it's believed to have a lot of excellent health benefits, such as it's packed with antioxidants. I think people with diabetes sometimes use it. I've had chaga once. You've had it several times. Chaga tea, that is. Should be lovely. Cheers.
Cheers.
To good health in 2020.
Quite pleasant.
It's like a tea, a mild tea. It's not as earthy as you might imagine.
For a mushroom. It would be really good with a little scoop of honey.
Yeah. Pretty cool how much green stuff is still under the snow.
After our last trip where my mat was deflating through the night, I took it home, filled up the bathtub, filled up the mat, and then just submerged the mat piece by piece and was able to locate the leak. It was just a little pinhole leak, probably from a bough. And then as you can see here, I just put a couple layers of patch. It's like an aqua seal type stuff that came with the mat. 3 layers of that, and it held up last night, no problem. So I was really pleased to have a solution to that, and it was quite an easy one. There it is.
Timber! It's nice when standing dead birch are leaning because it's a lot safer. If that was straight up, I wouldn't even try. Beauty day out here. Just gonna go have a look at the cliffs. And Aaron's about to head out, but I'm staying for another night or two to do some serious fishing. A buddy will be coming in shortly if I don't get stood up. and we're going for burbot and lake trout. I hate goodbyes. Bye, honey. Love you. It's business. It's business time. Business hours are over.
Come here. YouTube debut. Hi. Let's be opening for our video.
Chris, yeah, and Court have arrived. Court just came in with Copa here just for the adventure. And Chris has got a full sled for us to play with. It's a little deep for a little dog. There you go.
Yeah, actually, that's what I talked about. Super tough. There you go, coconut. That's kind of soft. Just a little nicer. Hey, little beagle.
Do you like it to try this?
Yeah, I like the tent a lot. I don't like our stove that much.
Oh no?
No, the pipe it came with is crap. We did make some modifications, give it an elbow and some other stuff, but I don't like it. Yeah. Oh, there's a big limb hanging up there. Jeez.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? Trying to find a clearing that's big enough for this tent is hard enough, and trying to find one with no dead birch nearby,
Yeah.
pretty hard.
Back to being warm. Footage. Skinning it.
See ya, Court. See ya, Copa.
Copa.
All right, time for the boys. So Chris does a bit of trapping, and he spotted some pretty active. Well, you tell us, Chris.
Yeah, so we're just going to set up a couple rabbit snares, which technically isn't trapping.
Snaring.
Snaring. To trap, you have to have a trapper's license.
Okay.
But to snare rabbits, all you need is a small game license, which I have. And then you find these snowshoe hare trails, the ones that have been walked quite frequently, which are pretty easy to see. They almost look like little highways. And then you just find a narrow spot to attach a snare. It looks like a good spot is that tree there. And then what you want to do is build kind of like a fence on the other side of it, so that when the rabbit comes, it instinctually follows its trail, and then it kind of sees your fence, and instead of going through or over your fence, the hope is that it would go through where you have your snare, and then the little guy's head gets caught, and he takes a big jump, and hopefully breaks his neck real quick, and he doesn't suffer too much.
That's the main thing
And then
for me, with respect to trapping and snaring, that it's fast.
Yeah, that's what you want. And then I guess while you're setting the snares, one thing to remember is maybe 2 or 3 fingers from the snow line, because what's going to happen is the snare, or the rabbit's going to come hopping down, and then he's going to lift his chin into the snare, and that's what you want. So in order to do that, it has to be off the ground just a bit, which is kind of tricky to set up, but once you get it, 2 or 3 fingers is usually good enough. Where else?
Okay, finally time to get serious about fishing. We've got the historical bathymetry for this lake, and it's quite deep here, well over 100 feet. But there's a nice hump over there toward where Chris is heading, and I think we're going to position ourselves between the hump and the cliffs. Chris is a generous guy, sharing his moose jerky. It's good stuff.
All right.
got bear jerky. What a guy.
What a guy. Yeah, I like the moose jerky better, I think.
Yeah, it's good though.
But novel anyway.
I don't know. This is nice too. Got sweetness. What is that?
It was apple cider.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and the alcohol helps to break the meat down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, then I put blueberry vinaigrette in it, so maybe it tastes a little bit like blueberry.
I think that's what I'm tasting, yeah. Coconut and chocolate? And
coconut
what?
and dark chocolate.
And dark chocolate. Wow. Chris is like the best guy ever to bring on a camping trip. That's delicious.
Yeah.
That's a good snack.
Alright, it's getting late and nothing's going on, so we're heading back. We're getting cold. We want a fire. Chris is going to check his snares.
Yeah, it slept quite well.
So it was just around the freezing mark last night, so we just cold camped. It wasn't worth the effort of prepping and stoking firewood all night, so it was pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, both slept,
Very comfortable.
slept well in here.
Super warm.
It retains a bit of heat in here, just even body heat. And we were well prepared for even colder temperatures, so it was nice.
Fish on.
I don't want to.
Feels like a Laker. I don't know, actually. Oh God. Come on, burb it. Be burb it. Be a dirty burb. Oh! Burb it! No, no, no.
Oh, another Laker.
The wrong GoPro started, so I didn't get this fight, but...
What a beauty
Nice
fish, eh?
lake trout, yeah. Beautiful. Alright. Let's get it home.
Oh, whoa!
Thanks, buddy.
A nice little shower. Well, what are you using?
The Seville vibrato again.
Vibrato? You have another one of those?
No, I don't. Sorry, man.
Gosh.
And if I did,
You wouldn't let
we're
me
in a
use
competition.
it.
Somebody wanted a competition.
I take it back.
Vibrato is doing the job so far. Both fish on that.
No fish on the shad wrap. Rapala, step it up. All the research you put into your lures.
We're in 50 feet of water here, close to 150 foot basin in the middle of the lake. And it's a pretty wide expanse of 50 feet. So we're hoping it's a bit of a feeding flat. So far 2 fish, but we've fished this spot, what do you think? Including last night, probably a good 4 or 5 hours now, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to move around, but there's sleet outside, so it's just not fun to be out right now. So we'll just have to wait. Both fish, I just let the lures sit as I saw them on the sonar. I just pretty much dead sticked it like this. If they're not really switched on, I use very small jigging strokes or no jigging stroke at all when a fish is on the sonar. Still really ugly outside, but we can't stay here anymore. We're so bored. So we're gonna go over to the cliffs and fish there for a bit.
Spot number 2. Spot number 2 didn't last long. There's just kind of sketchy ice there, so we're set up on our final spot. We're going to stay here all evening. Real close to camp.
think we got over pumpered, but all right, for dinner tonight, John and I have a pesto pasta mix, which is really simple to bring into the backcountry because all you need is like a whole grain pasta. You can use white pasta too. Pine nuts, which I fry up before I put them in there. And then you just need a thing of pesto and you just mix it together. So pesto, pine nuts, and pasta, and that's it. It's super simple. And then throw some cheese on there. Woo! And here is the finished product. I don't know if that's a good shot.
It's not even all of it.
Oh.
This is Chris's first time making pasta. He made the entire box. It smells really good though.
Oh, I've made this tons of times.
Oh, I know. I'm just jerking your chain.
We're gonna have to backlight a little bit here.
So it's time to target what we really came here for. We got some power bait. It's kind of like a putty. And work that into this jig fly.
Yeah, so I guess the point of this is that you get a bit of the scent of a fish, and then you get the presentation of what would be a dead minnow just soaking on the bottom. Hopefully we get a dirty burbot. Come suck it up. Well, you do the toast then.
No, you're toast. You called the toast. You make it.
I'm toast shy. I guess we'll toast to Sealy Lake and the possibility of catching burbot.
Yeah.
So
Cheers. Just the possibility.
it's ahead of us.
Chris was up till 2 a.m. burbot fishing, so he's catching some Z's. There he is.
Oh yeah, buddy.
He got one.
What time is it?
Mission accomplished. It's close to 10, I think. So we ended up cold camping again last night. A lot of the wood that I processed yesterday was just not seasoned enough, especially the birch. Birch is pretty hard to find nicely seasoned in the woods where it's not rotten. And in the boreal forest, you pretty much have poplar and birch for hardwoods. But so far, I've found that it's just not worth it. Aaron and I have really enjoyed using softwoods more, even though they don't burn as long or as hot. It's just been the better alternative. So that's our hut out there on the ice, on this point, which was a bust. But we were conveniently close to our camp right back in here on this little trail we established. Not that deep here, eh?
I think it's similar to the other spot, but
Just poor quality.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just not our day. But all three fish on this trip, including Chris's burbot last night, were caught on the vibrato. So credit to it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my camera skills aren't that of Jonathan, so the footage is a little shaky, but I think we'll add it in there.
I left him the GoPro and it So you somehow started a time lapse for his burbot. So that's all we got.
With no audio whatsoever. But, oh well.
What a mess.
Small black MSR bag if you try it.
So for Chris, there is some salvation on this trip.
Yes, one burbot last night at 12 o'clock, and we set the snares 2 days ago. I always recommend checking a snare if you set it the night before, the morning of, because you don't want them out too long. Obviously, predators can get into there, and also, yeah, it's not that humane to leave them for too long anyway.
No.
Because other animals might get caught in there too. So we set 3 snares that you guys watched me set up. And we were lucky enough to have 2 of them filled with fun. So here's one snowshoe hare, and it's also good too. I use these snares are pretty cheap, but as long as they're not too messed up by the rabbits, you can use them again and again. The only thing you want to watch out for is that, see here, when the rabbit spins around, it gets these whirlies in the snare wire. That'll weaken the wire and it'll break. So this one probably won't be able to be used again. Rabbit number 1. And rabbit number 2.
It's a much bigger one, eh?
Is a beautiful one. Yeah, this is probably a buck or well into its like 3rd year. And that might be a female. But you can see they worked perfectly. This is what you want. It's a bit graphic, but you can see how the wire's coming out of here. It's just around its neck, not around its fur or around its legs. So if you want to reuse the pelt, it's the best way because there's no damage to the pelt. There's also no wasted meat whatsoever, because sometimes, no matter how good of a shot you are, these guys are quick. Sometimes you'll hit them in the arms, the back, and then you waste most of the meat. So these are perfect. No meat's going to be wasted, and I'll probably end up keeping these for pelts and maybe making use them for trim, for boots, for mitts, whatever you want. So there you go.
Well, congrats.
Cheers.
I could never do it, but I eat meat from a grocery store, and I consider that a lot more inhumane than what you're seeing here. So if you got a problem with it, you know, I hope you're a vegetarian, because the meat we get at the stores is pretty sad usually. Whoa! Damn snowshoes. That's why they call them snowshoe hare. Just massive feet.
If you can see the size of my hand. Very, very big.
So we're back at the trail, and we're gonna double carry this one. The snow that came yesterday is really heavy, so travel has become pretty difficult. Plus we don't have Erin. She took in half of my gear, so It's gonna be a long slog. We gotta do this once, come all the way back, 2.5, 3 kilometers, and do it again. It's just blanketed in here. I like this direction a lot better. I shed a bunch of layers for going there with the heavy load. Now on the way back, I'm too cold. And there's a bitter cold wind moving in. We're about to go back to deep freeze after that little warm spell yesterday. All the weight of the snow is pushing water up from the lake, which is causing slush and is sticking and freezing to the sled a little bit. And even a little chunk like this is really important to get off with a full load because it'll really slow you down. Same with the snowshoes, sinking into the slush a little, and I'll have to knock that off. There's Aaron to pick us up. That's my honey. I'm exhausted and dripping with sweat. Hopefully Chris isn't too far behind me. Oh, you're the best. Yes. Here again with Aaron Outfitters. Just want to give a shout out to them for the excellent guiding, pickup, shuttle services. Just a top-notch organization. Chris, you alive back there?
I think so. Yeah. It was a long haul to get out of there.
Yep. Pretty rough.
Heavy. Good workout though.
Yeah, sure was.